Welcome to this episode of Ready Free Professional Wrestling. Yes, I am Shawn along with my tag team partner, Ashlee, and we're recording on Saturday evening right after AEW Collision for one special reason. My beautiful, lovely co-host Ashlee was actually at AEW Collision this week. So, my friend, how was the show?
Very good. I got to see so many people that I have wanted to see for such a long time, and I was so excited.
You know, when I saw Roderick Strong versus Beast Mortos, I felt like I should just tweet at you, go like, how do you feel right now? Do you feel conflicted?
I did. And that was a match that I think if people have listened, know that was booked for me because I love Beast Mortos. And I love Roderick Strong's like comedy bits with him. I like this weirdly, like it's almost very dramatic, but in a comedic way.
Well, let's start off with the first match of the evening on Collision, as it was the House of Black and a trios match with the Iron Savages. And unfortunately for the Iron Savages, they didn't bring enough sauce for this match because I gotta say, the House of Black, like Tony Schiavone said, are the most victorious trios group in AEW, and the Savages stood no chance.
No, not a very long match. And obviously, like, House of Black takes the big W. I am a little surprised to see this, like, more tweener side of House of Black. We've kind of seen them sort of pushing more into the face side of things. I'm curious to see where that leads us after the Julia Hart promo that we can talk about a little later.
You know, I get a feeling that somebody needs to be face in this company now, since you have so many heel factions. So I guess I feel like House of Black is one of the more popular groups among the AEW fans. So they're signing them kind of more tweener where I feel like they should be anyway. I mean, like, you can have badass tweeners that can beat baby faces. They don't have to follow the rules. They just have to be able to beat people up left and right.
Yeah, and especially Brody King, he's super over. Everybody was doing the grunt and stuff with him.
I'm sorry, Brody King should not be able to dive through ropes like a freaking cruiserweight. He's built like a tank with a Ferrari engine.
So good.
So you also had the chance to watch the Outrunners take on Top Flight in the match where I was wondering if they were trying to show little signs with Top Flight maybe breaking apart. I'm going like, you're trying to break away the Acclaim from each other, and now you're trying to do the same thing with Top Flight. I'm going like, guys, slow down here. We don't need every tag team to break up.
Yeah, and I don't want them to break up. I could see maybe some potential for them as singles. We've seen Dante and Darius both on singles run with injuries to the other, but I wouldn't push them as singles right now. I feel like the singles scene is a little crowded. It might be tough for them to get anywhere right now. But I would like to see them both turn as a heel tag team.
You know, it'd be interesting to see a heel Top Flight versus Private Party in an AEW tag team feud. I feel like that's something we haven't seen. We've seen Private Party be heelish, but we've never seen Top Flight. And to me, they both look like baby faces. They wrestle like baby faces. But maybe, just maybe, instead of getting the Acclaim as a tag team for the Hurt Syndicate, they could do Top Flight.
Yeah, especially because we've seen a lot of tension with the Acclaimed. I don't know if I want them to join the Hurt Syndicate. I mean, we've already got a couple of members there. I don't know how many members we're going to put in there. But Action Andretti and his attitude is sort of rubbed off on the rest of Top Flight here, because Leo Rush has had sort of an edge to him the past couple of weeks, and now this.
Exactly. And we can go ahead and talk about, you got to see Jack Perry versus Ashton Andretti for the TNT title. I can say it was probably my second favorite match on this episode of Collision, and I would love to see this match run back.
Yeah, this was very good. And we almost got the bonus match of Jack Perry versus Peter Griffin.
At this point, I feel like maybe Jack Perry's trying to be like Gabe Kidd and is trying to fight everybody underneath the sun to prove that he's this tough guy.
I like this though. I especially like what he did at the New Japan show. And I like that he's a champion, and even as a heel, he is actively seeking challengers.
And let me say, he's going to have a really big challenge come up at Wrestle Dynasty. So get your popcorn ready, my friends. You did get to see the CEO make a surprise appearance after the match with Chris Statlander, and we're building towards the title match at AEW Full Gear, and we saw a visual tap out by Chris Statlander, which was kind of interesting. Usually that's reversed. Usually the face gets a tap on the heel before the pay-per-view.
Which is odd because if you look at the historical statistics of who's standing tall at the end of the go-home show to who wins at the pay-per-view, I don't know if they're trying to tell us something. I don't see Mercedes losing yet, though.
I don't either. I still feel like she's going to have this run for a while because, like we said, we're in the middle of 3 AEW pay-per-views, and one being a joint venture with New Japan Pro Wrestling. So I feel like they would want the CEO to have both titles to be 2 belts CEO.
Yeah, and I'm pretty excited coming out of that New Japan show for the matches coming up.
Okay, you said your favorite match from this episode of Collision was Nick Wayne versus AR Fox, and I gotta say, Nick Wayne got a little bit of revenge there from poor old AR Fox, his former mentor.
Yeah, it's a little strange, a little late for the revenge, but I guess better late than never.
Well, it's like Nick Wayne said, the prodigy never forgets.
Yeah, and he certainly didn't forget about AR Fox's father either.
Now, dude, that was a little bit of a too close to home, kind of like, ooh, no, don't do that. Not on the anniversary of his passing, but yeah, they went there.
They sure did. And I'm curious what's going on with Christian and all of this stuff, because he seems to have Nick Wayne has seemed to have dropped out of favor here.
Well, when you have 2 sons and one just seems to be a little bit more to your liking right now, and oh, by the way, Kip Saban is just really getting underneath the good graces of Christian Cage at the moment. Is this a way we get Nick Wayne away from the patriarchy? Maybe? Question mark.
I think so. It's crazy that he's only like 19. Like there was a lot. He's already so good in the ring, but to see the kind of like the elements he did with as he's going along with the storyline, he's going to be a menace in a few years.
Oh yeah, he is way ahead of his actual years in professional wrestling. And I gotta say, pairing him up with Christian's probably helped him in the promo department and his ability to tell stories.
Yeah, and to me, I some people are still divided on Jack Perry, but I think Christian Cage helped Jack Perry infinitely, and I think he's doing the same here with Nick Wayne.
So the main event of this Collision episode was the collaboration versus our trios champions, who are now known as the Death Riders. And I gotta say, it was a great match. Finally, the collaboration was working like a unit, and they're together instead of waiting for the last possible second to save their team members. So somebody read the handbook this week.
Orange Cassidy gets it. But I was very excited to see Tomohiro Ishii, though. Like, that's somebody I don't know if I would ever get the chance to see.
Yes. He had a busy weekend because he had that episode of Collision. Then he did a Fighting Spirits show in Massachusetts this past Friday night. And I gotta say, he gets around pretty good for these elder statements of the collaboration.
Going from Ishii summer to Ishii fall.
So the main event ends with we see Jon Moxley and Marin Shafir come down just very throws a case into the chest of poor Kyle O'Reilly as Kyle O'Reilly eats the pin here, and the trio champion is retained. But we get Orange Cassidy come down and deck Ritter Yuta with an orange punch, and the commemoration and the Death Riders fight as we go off the air.
I'm going to say this is one of my favorite like running bits going on in AEW right now. Is that every week Wheeler Yuta eats an orange punch? Like no matter what, it's like 3 or 4 weeks now. He's just laid out every. Thank you, Orange Cassidy.
Well, you also got to see the taping for ROH Wrestling. So tell us about what happened on that episode of Ring of Honor.
I'm going to say it was a little strange because as we were like coming into the arena, they were talking about matches we were going to see, people we were going to see. And a couple of the matches they did tell us about, we didn't end up getting. It seems like there was some shifting that happened throughout the setup of the show. So I got to see, again, Katsuyori Shibata, which was great. He took on Aaron Solo one-on-one. That I really enjoyed. And I think Aaron Solo is getting a little bit of a slight push in Ring of Honor. I've seen quite a bit of him lately.
You know, I gotta say, I like Aaron Solo. I feel like he's one of those rising AEW homegrown talents that came out of the Nightmare Factory and that pandemic era of AEW TV. And I can't wait to watch Shibata versus him on Honor Club. And speaking of Honor Club and Ring of Honor, we'll have Kimi Soko on a special edition of Radio Free Professional Wrestling coming out to you guys on Tuesday as we get together and we talk about the state of Ring of Honor Professional Wrestling.
And I think we do need to have a conversation about the state of Ring of Honor Wrestling.
So what other matches did you see, my friend?
Okay, so Gabe Kidd also made an appearance here, taking on Angelico, which was very cool. Again, somebody that I would very rarely get the opportunity to see, and a relatively easy win here for Gabe Kidd, the open weight champion, the strong open champion here. Also, Serpentico one-on-one with Kevin Knight, who came over and had this singles competition match. And then we had the opportunity to see somebody I would never get to see. Shingo Takagi made an appearance here on Ring of Honor, and he took on Arya Daivari from the Premier Athletes. Fantastic. Arya Daivari, I know the Premier Athletes are kind of like this comedy group, but they are very talented in the ring.
I mean, they're very good at what they need to do. They're there to eat the pins for the baby faces, and having Shingo Takagi come in as a special treat for everybody, and him having a good showcase there. Why not? I mean, they're up in the Northeast. New Japan Pro Wrestling was running a show in Massachusetts the day after this taping of Collision, so it all made sense.
We also had Athena taking on Layla Gray from Top Flight, which was the contenders match here. But Athena, our forever champ, that gets an easy victory here. And awesome. I love Athena, obviously the backbone of Ring of Honor for the past few years. Fantastic. She's great.
Well, she's basically, we should call it Athena Wrestling Alliance or something, because she's literally the one champion they have every time that they have a taping. She's carrying this whole division on her shoulders.
She's carrying that whole brand on her shoulders.
Very true.
And then the Ring of Honor main event was a 4-way tag team. And it was John Silver and Alex Reynolds from the Dark Order taking on Undisputed Kingdom, Mike Bennett and Matt Taven, versus Toa Leona and Con Bishop, Gates of Agony, versus the Grizzled Young Veterans.
need to go watch this episode of Ring of Honor now. So that 4-way's on a cook.
Yeah, and honestly, this was one of those matches that whoever would have won, I perfectly would have been happy with.
And, Grizzly Young Veterans, the new Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team Champions, as they defeated
my boys.
The boys from DMK. Unfortunately, the Mighty did kneel that night.
It was not a good night for my guys.
But I gotta say, that was one of my favorite New Japan shows. We'll be talking about it later here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. So, overall, were you happy with your attending Collision?
Yeah. I very rarely have not enjoyed myself. I think the only time honestly, it's going to be funny to you. The only time I didn't really have the best time at an AEW show was last year. And it was at a live Rampage in Battle of the Belts.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Not having fun at Battle of the Belts. How could you?
That damn special.